Okay, so let's continue. Dito nag-stop diri na sa integration. So, ang boundary condition to is 0 to time. So, this would result to x. Oh, sorry. So, result to x is equals to v t minus 0. Oh. Oh, lipat ka. Sila na. May boundary condition, kumisika ko. Sabi, nalipan ako ng transitive integration. Sila. Lipat ka. Yan. May boundary condition, kumisika ko. Sila. Hindi mo cancel. Erase. Sorry. Nag-redundant ako ng solution. So, dito next store, x is equals to v t 0 t. Another method is I'm gonna follow na after this one. So this is equals to x is equals to v t minus 0. Therefore, x is equals to v t, or that velocity is equals to x over t. Okay, so wala itong difference sa atong equation. Velocity is equals x over t. Dumasaling ka, velocity is distance over time, but it is wrong. X is not distance, it is position. It happens only that we started with a time equals to 0. No? Kung natin position x. So if we follow different route, yeah, may muna siya, let's say dito na yan. Bilang super lagi. We can start sa dx v dt. Okay. If nagamit ito constant integration c, then diretso lang sila integrate. So this is result to x is equals to vt plus c. So example, t is equals to 0, x is equals to 0. Therefore, for plug-in ka, x 0 v times 0 times plus c. Therefore, c is equals to 0. Then our final equation is x is equals to vt. So similar that. So balikan ko di ginagawa sa dxdt. Hindi ko naman yan sa isa lang ako na integral na sa dapat mag-ano mo ko something ako na dx. Dapat both sides hindi kami yan sa isa. Kaya dapat bigla interpret wala sang value sang x lang. Siyang x. So good pala siya ng 1 wherever hindi ko siya ma-define ang iyang origin. So amo ni siyang gusto ko way. So para may symmetry, at time t equals to 0, it starts from the origin, which is x equals to 0. And at time t, what is down the new position? So may mga siya dapat para balance 0 equals to x. Then may mga siya x minus 0, which is x. Ano siya dapat para may symmetry. So there are two ways to approach differential equation. One is using boundary conditions na defined na sa integral na sign. At time is equal to 0, what is the value position for the other variable, then time t is the variable. The other one is we just have to integrate it directly, and then we have to introduce the C because wala na define ang boundary condition. Ang C, which is as boundary conditions. So, mas ang purpose ng C ng combine siya ng effect after substituting the boundary conditions, but the result is still the same. So going up to the bottom, itong equation for this one is just isagit to the result to P equals to x over t. Muna ang equation for this simple type of motion. Once in type of motion is constant motion, automatic, that is the formula x equals to t. Given that boundary condition is that it starts from the origin. Time t is equals to 0, the initial position x is 0. Because ang originally giving itsura is x minus x sub naught t minus t sub naught. Okay. It looks like an average velocity, but sa pinaka-simple na type of motion, ang average velocity, so instantaneous velocity is 1, or R1 rather. Sa pinaka-simple na type of motion. It is wala sa nang change linear sa iyang magnitude over time is straight. Okay, let's go to phase 2. Phase 2 or category 2, which is uniformly accelerated motion. So in here, yeah, after the assumption that, of course, we begin with a is equals to c, acceleration is constant. Now that we have acceleration, then we have to use the two fundamental equations, which is velocity is equals to x dt and acceleration plus dv dt, or d2x over dt squared. Or mas mali pa, ang diwa na lang ito. Or pwede lang sila try tayo. Let's start with ADX dV atong chain rule na derive. So, derive tayo sa ADV dt. A is dV. This is constant. This is constant. Then we can work this out, no? dV is equals to A dt. We integrate. An A is constant. At time t is equal to 0, the initial velocity is called this v sub naught. At time t, the final velocity is just called v. Okay. So this would be v naught is equals to A t naught. There will be no c then because boundary conditions na amo na siya ang constant multiplication. Ay, sorry, may t pa. Okay, just continue. This would be v minus v naught equals to p t minus 0 na lang. Na 0 kung nabibigay na. Okay, so finally, our acceleration is v minus v naught divided by t. Alright? So, this is one of the equations for motion that is uniformly accelerated. This is not yet complete. Meron pa kita another two equations that we can derive from this condition. What about ADX VD? What can we do about it? A dx v dv. Again, ang constant is a. If there is an acceleration with any constant value, automatic velocity is not constant because velocity depends on acceleration. So even if you have an acceleration 1, then it would increase the rate of velocity by 1 unit per time unit squared. unless acceleration is 0. So ano to siya? If ang acceleration is constant to, pero 0, ma-reduce to sa constant motion. But non-zero constant na value ang case to that. So again, let's continue. A dx. This time, hindi ito napag-buong v. Because it depends on acceleration. So sa sulod lang sa'yo, v dE. Now let's add boundary condition. Initial velocity 0. It starts with the origin. That is most common assumption. If they are not given, always initial start from the origin and it starts at rest, or it starts from rest. The final velocity, the final position. So A should be x 0 x is equals to derivative of v dv is 1/2 v squared. V0 v naught. So this would be A x minus 0. Ang iba na book is x minus x of naught. It's okay. So be 1/2 v squared minus v0 squared. So final equation would be 2 dx equals to v squared minus v naught squared. So this is really familiar na sila, especially if those subject ng physics lang. So constant projectile motion, pwede mo na siya, inis na siyang xy, inis na sa ag. Ang v is vy and v0 is v0y to specify na acceleration that is vertically downward. But this one, yeah, x meaning along the x-axis. It could be y, x, or z. So another one equation na lang din. Dito mo po. What about v dx dt? We use this one. Let's see. D dt dx. We cannot because v should be a function of t. What about a dv t? This is the third one. A x g t g final dx a today. Oh, this one today. What about this one? That's it. Let me talk about equation number 1. This is equation number 2. Equation number 1 is a b minus v naught over t. Then 80 equal to v is equals to 80 plus v naught. Okay? Now my question is this v the same with this v? Not only because wala sa subscript ng v sub no. Ang velocity niyo sa to is velocity is equals to acceleration times time plus initial velocity. And the other one is v is equal to dx dt. That is our fundamental equation, which is instantaneous velocity, meaning that is the velocity at any given instant. Amo na siyang velocity initially, amo na siyang velocity man finally. Pero ari mo, klaro ka tama, velocity is equals to 80 plus v0. This is final velocity. Yan ang initial velocity mo to sa toko. But, whenever you see the instantaneous velocity, instantaneous acceleration, it always refers to final state. I forgot the reason. It always refers to final state. Initial, this is final velocity. So, pwede din sila lightweight. Nalipat ko. Final state na siya, hindi na sa initial state. If any one of you has answered to that, please message in the chat box or message me personally. I forgot really the reason about that, but we are the same, therefore we can equate them to 80 plus v naught is equals to dx dt. So kung natawag ka, pwede na. Pwede dito siya. This would be v0t sorry. v0 dt plus at dt is equals to dx. Now we can do the integration. This would be initial velocity. Initial velocity is a constant for now. Is initial velocity affected by the uniformly acceleration? No, because that is part of the boundary conditions that is set na already. Ang maapektuhan lang sa acceleration is ang final velocity. And of course, the final velocity includes the initial velocity, but the initial velocity itself is hindi siya maapektuhan by acceleration. So it should be v0 dt. And A, pwede siya mapagawa, but of course, the thing pasulot siya. It's illegal na siya. Ipagawa mo siya, kaya yung differential mo is in terms of t. Okay, so at time t equals to 0, our position starts from the origin. Time t equals to 0. Then at time p, our new position x. Okay, so sine of Lansopia, this would be x 0 x is equals to v0 t 0 t, and of course we have 1/2 1 of t squared, so inside lang na 1 because t dt is t squared over 2 0 t. So finally, our last equation to complete the three equations is x is equals to v0 t plus 1 of a t squared. Okay, so we have derived the three equations for case 2, which is uniformly accelerated motion. And if you notice, there is always a for each of the three. Of course, that again should have that. And if we equate a to 0, this would automatically result to case 1. And we can prove it mathematically. So it's our first equation. So the equation if a is equals to 0, then this would be v is equals to v naught, meaning the velocity doesn't change, which is case 1. Again, so number 2, if a is equals to 0, this would result again to v is equals to v naught, case 2 again. So equation number 3, if we set a is equals to 0, this would result to x is equals to v naught over t, which is velocity, initial velocity is equals to position over time, the position at any time. It equates for example, assumption or limitation is that it starts from S. That is just convenience lang, wala mo. Pero sa physics, strict siya, start with sa x minus x sub na ang inyong part. Ang madali. X minus x sub na. Ang madali. X plus 2 sub na. But, pwede naman siya ma-edit anytime. The concept is still there. Okay, so I hope na gets discussion there. So what about case 3? Case 3. Well, as I've said naman, case 3 is unique. It comprises all other types of motion, which is infinite. We cannot have an equation for infinite types. We have equation for type 1. We have equations for type 2. But we don't have one equation for all types of motions at this state. Therefore, case basis, we have to derive the unique and specific equations for that type of motion. Later na kita tayo siya. May example tayo siya. Okay, so moving on. Dahil ang variables na yung gamit, S. We have used S. Coordinate system, these are just the tips. Rectilinear mathematic. This is for erratic motion. Pero I'm not sure if I have. Simple naman yung rectilinear motion. Ang erratic motion, which is sample din nag-bike ka, initially concerning na motion, na din good pinag-dancing ka. So, ang graph mo is Romero straight, linear ka, pwede na parabolic, something. If you're just tips, kung hindi ko na siya discuss, kaya kung gusto mo na siya, hindi mo sa bulat. Tayo naman ba sa ito yung sa I don't know if I have specific example for that. Hindi siya lang tawa. Matawag mo sila mo, kunyara, for example, for erratic. Wala. Na-include ko siya sa topic, pero wala ko problems for erratic motion. Pero kung ito, kung if you're curious about it, mga sources ng books. Ang erratic motion, composite motion na siya. Nag-alternate siya from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. Nag-alternate na siya. Ang motion niya, ang behavior motion niya from phase 2 to phase 1 to phase 3, then to phase 2 to phase 1 continuous. But I think we have to masterdize some concepts associated with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 before we go to erratic motion. Okay, that's one of the reasons. Okay, so let's have an example first. Example 1.21. This is important thing in concept. Okay, so problem number 1 is if a particle has moved from A to B, as shown in the figure, along the circular path in 4 seconds, what is the average velocity of the particle? Okay, remember, the question is average velocity. Then dapat sulit sa mind, approximation naman siya. This is not exact. Therefore, wala isang differential equation. All you have to do is to connect the 2 points. It's getting average velocity, then automatic. What are the 2 points? What are the final and the initial state? Registration state fundamentally is the position. So finally, as a point B, but initially as a point A. But what is the actual path? It is circular, di ba? Gamon siya. The question is the average velocity of the particle. Okay. So average velocity of the particle. Dapat nasansin mo ang equation ng average velocity. We have 2 equations, diba? V1 plus V2 over 2, or the other one is delta x over delta t. Do we have delta t? Yes. 4 seconds. In 4 seconds, automatic na siya. 4 seconds, that is t minus t sub 0. Once ang denominator. What about delta x? Anong delta x yan? Delta x is the displacement or the change in position. Displacement is a vector, meaning it is a straight line with direction, although the actual trajectory is curved, but displacement does not refer to the actual path. It refers if you connect to specific points. So in this case, ang available na data is para lang sa point A to point A. So, hintay man siya. It takes 4 seconds for a particle to travel from point A to point B in a semicircular manner. Pero ito kabalo kung anong yung complete behavior during point A to point B. Pero kabalo ko nag-taxi, naghinay, nag-constant, nag-gasigitasa, naghinay, nag-constant. All we have is that it takes 4 seconds to travel from point A to point B. That is why our question is average velocity, because we don't know everything about the behavior of the particle during the travel. Then ang delta x therefore is 5 meters to the right. It is the displacement. Ano punta? If by elimination, ang letter B, wrong na siya. May x and y na component, may I kay j. Kaya ang nilihatag sa direction sa average velocity is ang numerator, which is ang delta x, ang tiny scalar na yun. Ang delta x, ang mga source na ito ng direction. Kaya ang delta x is to the right, wala isang up down, which is d from A to B. So ang distance that is 5 na siya. 5 meters. Then we divide sa time. 5 divided by 4. So that would be, ilan siya? For seconds. Ay, 5 meters in radius, sorry. So that would be 10. 10 ang diameter from A to B. So 10 meters divided by 4 seconds, it would be 2.5. And I refers to the x-axis. So the answer would be 2.5 I meter per second. The answer is A. Ang secret of course, eliminated mo. Saan nga nagamit kaya phi? Kaya yung phi refers to the perimeter, to the circumference. Automatic na yung cancel niya yung CUT. Automatic cancel ng B because may J kaya component. So ating points considered is B and A, and that is straight horizontal line to the right. So if we divide 10 meters from A to B divided by 4 seconds, that would result to 2.5 meters per second. Again, it's important. Anong pinaka-essence din sa inyong first problem? Isang average na concept. Average means approximation. Average means we don't have all the data, and the best that we can do is to make sense of our limited data, to make the most of it. Given this limited data, what can we know as much the system? Of course, we describe the system as, okay, it moves 2.5 meters per second to the right. But of course, that is not complete description. Approximate mo lang. Actually, yung behavior is not amo na siya. So that is the concept. That is the essence of average velocity, which is approximation. Okay, question number 2. A car travels 100 kilometers to CPA in 2 hours. Then travels 200 kilometers to CPB in 3 hours. Now the question is, what is the average speed at velocity? What is the average speed of the car for the flight? This one I will not answer first. Please give your answer in the chat box so that we can, okay, for sure we are going to send you 1 or 3 contradictory answers. Okay, so please answer your please message your answers in the chat. Okay. I'll give you 5 minutes at most. 5 minutes to answer this one. What's the minute answer? Why good? Why good? Sino maka-answer na? Tara na. Answer niya sa kabilog. 100 kilometers per hour. Huh? 100 kilometers per hour. Nyara pagid. 75 kilometers per hour. Amo ni nasadyahan ko na yung problem. Because pwede hindi mag-answer diwa. Pwede man mag-answer tatlo. Another pagid yung answer. Strategic yun nga ako ng first ko na problem. Because conceptual yung sa tama. May 75 kilometers per hour, which is wala sa option. Kaya naman 100 kilometers per hour, which is letter D. Sa pagida, dua pagida. 2 answers na lang before tayo reveal ang correct answers. Answer naman ngayon. Answer naman. 58 kilometers per hour. Okay. I think that's the answer, but I'm not 58 kilometers per hour. But let's see kung paano siya nakuha ang 75, kung paano siya nakuha ang 100. Let's go sa OneNote. So this is problem number 2. The question is, ang car travels 100 kilometers to city A in 2 hours. Pero kabalo ko dito sa Halim. And then travels again naman 200 kilometers naman additional in 3 hours naman. Ang question is, what is the average speed of the car of the trip? For example, this is A, this is B, tapos this is the origin. Ito na siya, it takes 100 kilometers. Lipad to this, sila, 100 kilometers. Sa primero, it takes 2 hours, and sa primero, it takes 3 hours. So 2 or 3 hours. The question is the average speed of the car, not the velocity. Of course, wala ka ba kung hindi ang locations of A to B sa space. So it is impossible to look for the average velocity. Velocity is directional, kaya wala kung in specific sa space. All we have is the distance from origin to the A, that's 100 kilometers in 2 hours. And then from A to B, pwede siya maging curve, and that is 200 kilometers in 3 hours. That's why the question is, what is the average speed? So mathematically, speed is distance over time. Distance over time. So kung paano nito nyo like 100 kilometers per divided towards that, this would be 50. No? 50 kph. Then paano naman eh? Yun is 66 kph naman. Right? 200 by 3. So meron ka isang speed going from O to A, then another speed from going from A to B. Tapos yung i-add mo sila kung i-divide mo sa 2, you think you get the average speed. The other one to is i-add mo 200 so 100 and then what's the time? It should be 100 plus 200 divided by 2 plus 3, which is 300 divided by 5, which is pila? 60, right? 50 pH. Order 60. Yeah. 60. So, pila ni siya? 50 kag 66. Man. That should be 58. No? I think this would be 58 kung i-add mo sila. 58. So, ari ni siya, letter B siya, ari letter C ni siya. Na meron dito 100 km per hour. Dapat lang but the correct answer is this. Because average speed, huh? Average speed is equals to total distance traveled over total time. So, i-add mo na rin ang 100, then 200 divided by 2 plus 3 ka total time. Hindi mo pwede i-separate. Yeah, 100 divided 2 hours. That's the speed. Then another speed naman, 200 plus the speed. So, i-add na siya. Nasa i-average siya ng PPD average speed. That would be error. Sige, B, ano nga yan possible reason? Mathematically, anong error? Yung kung paano na rin ang paano na ang individual na speed. Then it takes no average. Anong flow daw? Anong fatal na flow? Compared sa i-add mo na rin ang total distance, total distance, total time, total. Anong pinaka-flow daw sa'yo na? Ng value. We have 1 minute na. Yung sarata na ano problema sa inyo? Na muni hanggang sa linggo. Na hindi pwedeng ako. Nung fault sa ako niya. Meron ito gina, di ba, nagambal kung may another form ang average velocity which is v1 over v2 divided by 2. Pero velocity to say, it's just speed. Wala siya apply sa speed. Velocity lang siya. Because ma-prove to siya sa using graph. Other explain na nag-work siya sa speed niya. Hindi mo pwede ma-average yung speeds. Na dapat i-total with the time. Pag i-total ng distance, that's the time i-divide.